Okay, so in the previous video we looked at the power of manually selecting hands into multiple groups and instantly getting combination and equity output as we worked here in the overview window. And that's pretty useful. One downside of doing manual selection, well, there are two really. One is we can make mistakes by just clicking cards up here. We can select the wrong combinations and make errors, and also it takes a while. So this is where the powerful auto selection capabilities of the Combonator come in. And basically what you do down here, and there are 5 different tabs of different types of auto selection, we basically define criteria of what hands we want to select. We choose which group we want those hands to get put in, and we click go, and it'll automatically select the correct hands for us. So it's pretty much a shortcut for doing manual hand selection. So for example, I've got in the same board as before, King 10-4 two-tone. I've just set the hero cards here as a pocket 5s. So let's say, like before, we want to select all top pair hands. So here we go, what hand do we want to select? A pair. We define what type of pair of kings, any kicker, and we want exactly this hand, nothing worse or better, and we click go. And you can see straight away there we're getting all one pair hands assigned. And in fact what's interesting here and illustrative is it identifies a mistake that we made in that last video, which is before we selected some 2 pair hands. This didn't make this mistake obviously, and here we just have the 1 pair hands. And you can see right away we are getting out equity information just like before. So let's do this again, this time into group 2. Let's select all better hands. That would be 2 pair or better. This drop down you can define all better or all worse. So any 2 pair or better. Okay, there we go. It's selected the sets and all 2 pairs. Again, straight away you're getting equity and combination analysis here. You can also see as we're working with the manual selection, it names each group as what they are: pair of kings, 2 pair or better. It's pretty intelligent in how it names the group, so it's useful for later. We'll get into the output tab more in the future, but you can see here you can do similar things, the output in a pie chart here, which can be saved. You can get the specific combinations, etc. So this is absolute hand selection. I'm just going to show exhaustively pretty much what all these drop downs can do for reference, and in the next videos we're going to look at some of the other auto selection criteria. So let's just clear all that and start again. So again, you just select with the absolute hand value, and again we're using absolute here, which means that if the board is paired and we select any pair, all hands will get selected because they all have a pair. We can select 2 pair, and then once you've done that, every hand type you can define exactly what type of hand. So with a pair we select pair of kings with a whatever kicker, pair of kings with an ace kicker or better. And all better includes 2 pairs and trips and all that. Or we can do pair of kings and ace kicker or worse, and that will obviously just be the inverse of that selection. It'll select everything except these really strong hands. This is pretty much the same all the way down. A straight can be an ace high straight. That should be fairly self-explanatory. And for every selection, in addition, you can define any flush draw or straight draw. And these 2 drop downs are also used in some of the other tabs, like in relative hand selection. So let's say we wanted to select all flush draws. Well, for that we can do any hand value, so not specifically a pair or whatever. We can do any hand value with a flush draw. Let's just start with a simple one. Okay, there we go. This will select the reason why I say ace 10 isn't selected is because it doesn't exist. To have a flush draw, the spade is already on the board there. This is selecting all hand values, including pairs. For example, there's ace 4 with a flush draw. If we wanted to just select flush draws with no pair, for that we would have to select high card, any high card exactly with a flush draw. And here now you can see the ace 4 hasn't been selected. Or similarly, we can do any pair. Well, let's just do reset panels. That resets all the drop downs of previous selections. We can do any pair exactly, or we can do any pair or better. That would be the same with a flush draw. And well, it's an interesting selection. We did 3 flush. Sorry. Okay, there we go. Yeah, not many selections. So the other thing in flush draws is, of course, no flush draw. So you can select criteria that's a pair with no flush draw, or high card with no flush draw. You can also do 3 flush, which is obviously 3 cards to a flush, or you can do 3 flush plus, and this implies either a 3 flush or a flush draw. Similarly, we have straight draw definitions. Now, these are a bit more specific. I'll just go through them so they're all clear. And Combonator version 1.3 uses, this has changed slightly, so it can be a bit more specific. So we have no straight draw, obviously no cards connected to a straight at all. We then have backdoor straight draws with 2 gaps. This is pretty much the worst possible straight draw. So this would be a 3 straight, but there's 2 gaps in the cards. So that would be, for example, 7, 10, Jack. The pluses mean this or better. So if you did backdoor straight draw 2 gaps or better, it would include all the ones below it. So then obviously backdoor straight draw 1 gap is with 1 gap in it. Backdoor straight draw with no gaps is effectively a 3 straight, so 7, 8, 9, anything with 7, 8, 9 in. I'll just show you that. Let's do exactly backdoor straight draw no gaps, assigning to 1 any hand. So these are the hands, 8, 9 because it's got 8, 9, 10, 6, 5 because it's 6, 5, 4. Okay, so that should be fairly obvious. And then we have gut shot. Gut shot includes oh no, sorry, gut shot is gut shot. Open-ended also includes double gut shot because that effectively is the same number of outs. So there you go. You can combine these. So you can do, for example, I want only high card hands that have got some kind of straight draw and a 3 flush, for example. And that's quite a lot of hands. But then that's lots of hands have on this board have a 3 straight with 2 gaps in. Okay, that is absolute hands. There's just one final thing to explain, is this little drop down here, and this is present on every single auto selection, and you basically say all the criteria that fits this definition, I want to either add them, overwrite them, or remove them from the grid. Add will only add hands if they're not already assigned. So for example, let's come up with an example. Let's say we assign any pair. Let's say any pair of kings exactly. No draw definition into group 1. Okay, so there we go. That's what we saw before. Now let's assign into group 2. We do any pair at all exactly. And what you'll see there is because we have add only, it's not overwriting. Even though it matched the criteria, it didn't overwrite what's in group 1. If we wanted to overwrite, obviously we would select the overwrite mode. And now they do get assigned into group 2. And the remove will pretty much say anything that matches this criteria, remove it from the group that's selected. So if we have group 2 selected and we want to remove pairs of 10s, they get removed from the grid. So, okay, that was quite a long video, but we pretty much covered some of the basics of auto selection and everything available in the absolute hand selection. In the next video we're going to talk about the relative and these other tabs as well. Okay, nice one.